I didn't invite my parents to my wedding because they always took my sister's side even when she falsely claimed that my fiancé forced himself on her. My sister, female 28, is the golden child. She could do nothing wrong with my family. She is very beautiful and she got away with everything, even stealing 3 of my boyfriends in the past. I met my fiancé 5 years ago. I was in love with him immediately, and I think so was he. That left me reluctant to introduce him to my family, and sister in particular, because he's her type, rich and good-looking. After a year of secretly dating him, I was running out of excuses as to why I couldn't meet my family. I literally thought, screw it. If she took him, better now than when I've invested more years on this dude. She acted precisely as I expected. She was flirty from the get-go. Except this time my fiancé didn't reciprocate and ignored her. One day my fiancé told me that he was receiving flirty texts from her and even one picture of her in a bra. I confronted her and we had a row in Mom's kitchen. She went upstairs crying, telling me that if she really wanted him, she would have him. My mom kicked me out and told me he's more my sister's age anyway. About 3 years ago, I was out of town for work for 2 weeks. And one evening, my fiancé started a video call on his iPad to show me how he was taking care of my bonsais. He was teasing me, pretending he's killing my plants, when the intercom called. It was my sister, so he buzzed her up. I told him to leave me on call to see what she's up to. She had a very short dress and heels. She came on to him, so I started recording. He told her no multiple times and she asked him why he chose a loser instead of her. She then tried to kiss him multiple times, telling him to at least try before saying no. He pushed her away eventually and she stumbled and fell over our glass coffee table. She started screaming and my boyfriend panicked and called the ambulance. I was terrified. She had injured her thigh and needed stitches all the way up to her waist. My sister pressed charges and claimed that fiancé tried to violate her, unaware that I have recorded the whole interaction. When the truth came out, my fiancé pressed charges for assault and defamation. She didn't get any jail time but had to pay him a hefty sum, something my parents thought was unfair since he didn't need the money. This ruined my sister and her reputation, so she moved to another city and cut all contacts with everyone, including my parents who took her side all the way. My parents blamed me for ruining her life and bright future, and my mom always lamented her and accused me of taking a stranger's side, purely to take revenge on my sister for being more popular and successful than me. I went low contact after this, almost no contact. My relationship with my fiancé didn't change, but it was strained with my soon-to-be in-laws who thought I have brought drama to them, and that their son was on the verge of losing everything because of me. We have a much better relationship now. It took time for them to trust me again. I'm very close with my soon-to-be mother-in-law and sister-in-law, and father-in-law treats me like I was his daughter. In fact, they're paying for the whole wedding. I never told my parents about me getting engaged or about the wedding. My aunt and 2 cousins are the only ones who are invited from my side of the family. We're having a weekend wedding in Tuscany. My parents are now so indignant that they aren't invited. My mom has been trying to call and text me, but I deleted before even reading. I don't know what to tell her, really. It feels like hate, the thing in my chest, but it can't be possible to hate your own parents. Today my aunt said that my mom is slandering me all over Facebook and has threatened my aunt by boycotting if she attended. I don't know if I should continue ignoring them or confront them. This is not easy. I don't want it to escalate. Now for the top advice. It is not hateful to remove horrible people from your life, even if they are your primary family. Get a new phone number and or block them. I changed my number about 2 years ago when I got engaged. I don't know who gave them my new number. Can you get a restraining order? I imagine your fiancé has good cause. Try to think of it this way. Pretend you are 5 years in the future. Will you regret not having your mother, father, and possibly sister at the wedding? There's no way it will go over well. I won't regret it. Not in 20 years. Unfortunately, restraining orders aren't a thing in my country. Not even for husbands who mistreats their wives. Be supportive of your aunt and cousin no matter what their decision. But your parents' intentions for going to your wedding aren't good. They're not to celebrate or support you. The fact that they slander you shows their priority isn't to build bridges with you. You have mended your relationship with your in-laws. Focus on those healthy relationships for your wedding. If you feel the need to message your parent/mother, don't invite them to the wedding. Tell them you're prepared to hear what they're reaching out now, and that you hope they're willing to make their behavior up to you so you can both move forward with improving your relationship for the future. You have nothing to apologize for. They do, especially your mother and sister. Congratulations, and do not let them near your wedding or tear you down. Yes, that's what I told my aunt. That she didn't need to attend if she didn't want to, but my cousins are already decided. I really don't want them in my wedding. I just don't know if I should confront them and tell them to stop or continue ghosting them. Both can lead to drama. Honestly, ghost them. I'm a bit of a petty soul, so I would definitely play up with getting on with your in-laws at all the wedding prepping on social media, because that's going to absolutely get to them. Forgive me for saying, but your mother and sisters seem very obsessed with how they look to others, and seeing you have a great time and being affected by their drama would be the biggest middle finger you could give them. If you're posting on social media about having the support of in-laws and friends to make up for not having support from them, and then they're bad-mouthing you, you won't need to tell them to be quiet, because anything they say will just make them look bad. Trust me, I'm not unaffected. I'm terrified of what could happen, and if it escalates to something like what happened 3 years ago. I'm trying to minimize the problem as much as I can. They mean so little to me to care to take revenge. I just want my anxiety to go away. It seems mighty likely you need to cut ties with anyone that supports your sister, including your parents. Sorry, at least your guy's family likes you. I haven't seen them in over 2 years and we live in the same city. Now for the last story. I have had enough of my stepdaughter, so I moved back to my parents with my son. I'm also 8 weeks pregnant and I don't know what to do. I don't know if this is even ethical because it's about a minor. I will keep it anonymous and hope for the best. I'm at the end of my tether here and I feel paralyzed and in desperate need of advice. I, female 38, met my husband, male 44, about 4 years ago. I'm 8 weeks pregnant. Only husband I know. I have a son, male 8, with my boyfriend who passed away in a car accident before my son was born. My husband has a daughter, female 13, from a previous marriage. Stepdaughter lives with us every other week. When we got married, ex-wife tried everything to get full custody of stepdaughter and failed. But it was made very clear to me, by stepdaughter, ex-wife, and husband, that I am not her mother and I am not allowed to participate in raising her. Stepdaughter basically ignored me and my son in our weeks. It wasn't perfect, but it wasn't hurting anyone directly. My son learned very early not to cross stepdaughter, and kept to himself when she was around. I suspect ex-wife behind stepdaughter's coldness towards me, and thought this must be hard for stepdaughter with all these changes. I tried to befriend her over the years, but she wasn't having it. It got worse when ex-wife remarried and got pregnant with twins 2 years ago. She started ignoring stepdaughter, trying to get my husband to have her more. We happily obliged, and basically stopped being a mother to her. It didn't help either that the new husband didn't like stepdaughter and wasn't shy about not wanting to raise another man's daughter. I asked my husband if we could take stepdaughter full-time and try to raise her, because I saw that her mental health was deteriorating and that she needed stability. The ex-wife blatantly refused the suggestion, so we continued with the every other week. The twins were born about a year ago and all went downhill from there. It seemed like the worse stepdaughter had it at her mom's, the more she hated me and my son. She would throw fits a couple of times every time she's with us. Break our stuff. Call me a witch if I try to tell her off. It's her house because her father bought it and we're just guests. She would yell at my son, and she even hit him a couple of times, telling him to keep to his room if he didn't like her treatment of him. When I told her not to put her hand on my son, she told me, "What are you going to do about it?" My son grew fearful of her and would ask me to take him to Grandpa, boyfriend's father, when she's living with us. I talked to my husband about it. I told him stepdaughter needed professional help because she's not feeling well and she's making us miserable when she's around. So she started to go to therapy, 6 months now. Other than that, my husband didn't know what to do either. If he tried to talk to her about being nice to us, she played innocent and told him she was playing around and hugged and kissed my son in front of him. And if he tried to be stern, she threw a tantrum and accused him of loving my son more than her. 3 months ago, my son's grandpa passed away. This hit my son and me very hard. My son was inconsolable for many weeks and couldn't really understand what it meant that he couldn't see Grandpa again. Grandpa was a carpenter, so his boyfriend. So since very young age, my son loved hanging with him in the garage working. Many times when he's there, he came home with something they made together. Butter knives, boxes, chessboards. And for my 38th birthday last summer, I got a stool that my son designed himself and built with his grandpa and then painted. This was the last project they had together since Grandpa passed away a few weeks later, so the stool was priceless to us. We had it in the kitchen. Stepdaughter made a lot of negative remarks about the stool, how ugly and poorly made it was. She laughed at my son's poor taste, and he was very distraught. This was the first time, however, that my husband got very angry at her and asked her to go to her room. She was so scared of his reaction that she went without any protest. This Christmas, stepdaughter was supposed to be with her mother. On Christmas Eve, her mother dropped her off at our house very early in the morning. Her new husband had decided he didn't want her to go with them to his parents' house, where they usually spent Christmas. Stepdaughter was on the verge of tears, standing there listening to her mother making excuses to my husband and me. My husband hugged stepdaughter the whole time, and I tried to fight away my tears. After her mom left, she went upstairs to her room to sleep. I also went to sleep since we don't usually wake up this early in holidays. My husband went to the gym and later he was going to the train station to bring my parents who were going to celebrate Christmas with us. Around 10 a.m., I heard my son screaming and crying downstairs. I ran down in horror. Stepdaughter had decided to break the stool my son had built with his grandpa, and she was trying to shove it in the fireplace. When she saw me, she smirked and said she didn't want ugly furniture in her house. I pulled her away and told her to go to her room and try to get the pieces of wood out of the fireplace. That was when she threw a scalding hot liquid in my face. It was a hot cocoa. I yelled in pain and my son started panicking, so I ran to him to tell him that I was fine. Stepdaughter stood there laughing. I took my son upstairs and went back to her. I grabbed her hard in her arm and started pulling, pushing, and dragging her up to her room and locked the door. Husband came home with my parents moments later. My mom took me to the emergency room, and my son insisted on coming with me. I had second-degree burn on my cheek and neck. When I went home, my husband was so mad at me for attacking stepdaughter by using force to get her to her room. He told me I should have had compassion knowing how hurt she was by her mother's abandonment. I told him that I had enough of this. I'm living a nightmare half of the time, having to walk in eggshells in my own home whenever she's around. My son is a prisoner in his own room when she's living with us, too terrified to cross a boundary of hers. I told him that I don't know how to handle this, and that it was a mistake from the beginning that I wasn't allowed to be a parental figure in her life with authority. He disagreed and told me that she has a kind heart and needed patience. But the thing is, I don't think she does. She targeted my son's handiwork fully aware of its sentimental value. In my face because she always hated the fact that my husband thinks I'm beautiful. It is opened with complimenting my eyes and smile. It didn't stay there for Christmas. I took my son and parents and went to my parents' home where I live now. My husband is in panic mode. He's been texting and calling me all the time trying to get me to move back and work things out. Stepdaughter even texted apologizing. You probably made her. But I don't know what to do. I love him so much, but I'm ashamed to say that I hate that girl. My son starts hyperventilating of the thought of living with her again. And what about my unborn baby? I feel sick of the thought of having 50-50 custody of being at the mercy of his half-sister when it's my husband's week. This thought makes me want to have a termination. Please tell me if there's another solution to this hell I'm living. Now for the advice. Stepdaughter is a hot mess, and your husband is in serious denial. Even seeing you with an injury sustained at the hand of his daughter, he still defended her. Now that he's finally seeing consequences of his inactions, he says there will be change. Nope. His daughter needs a lot of help, and obviously the therapy is not enough. Your son probably needs therapy, because after years of dealing with his stepsister, he is heavily traumatized if not suffering from PTSD. Your new baby is in grave danger if it ever goes near its half-sister. Makes you wonder about the twins. Stay with your parents where it is safe. Your husband has to prove it is safe in his house, and an apology is nowhere near enough from your stepdaughter. Oddly enough, she loves her twin brothers and her stepdad very much. I've seen her with them in her last birthday. She was like a whole nother stepdaughter around them. You have second-degree burns and he says she has a kind heart and you attacked her? You got attacked by her. You didn't even touch her other than getting her away from the fire until she did that to you. There was no telling what she might do next, so you had to manhandle her into her room for you and your son's safety. She saw how she injured you and did not relent and voluntarily go to her room. Honestly, make him an ex-husband. Press charges. Nothing will happen to her because of her age, but you need a paper trail ASAP in case you decide to keep the pregnancy so you can pursue full custody. This is not even about co-parenting. She was hurting your son out of jealousy for a long time. She already feels replaced by her mother with the twins. There is no telling what she will do if her dad has another kid. She put you in the hospital and it tells you off for how you handle the situation? There's no solution other than divorce. Everything else would be unfair to your son. If you still want the baby, remember that not every parent gets 50-50. You could insist on supervised visits only, or that he will only have the child on alternating days with his other kid. However, remember in 5 years she will be of age and can go wherever she pleases. She could even move in with him, and there would be little you could do to stop it. Restraining orders are difficult to enforce and usually time-limited. Maybe he would be open to sign away his rights for a favorable split of assets in the divorce, but that wouldn't guarantee he will never change his mind and drag you into a lengthy custody battle. Really weigh all your options. It is heartbreaking. But are you sure you want to be tied to this man for the next 18 years? His daughter didn't get this all from her mother. Just be sure you will not come to regret it and take it out on your kid. It is hateful to be constantly reminded how they are causing their parents stress by existing or resembling the ex. I would not raise a baby with this man. He will choose his daughter, no matter how awful she is. It was a huge mistake not letting you discipline her because she has been shown that you aren't an authority figure. She physically attacked you. It is so to your son so often that he lives in fear. Don't put yourself and your son through this hell. I can't tell you whether or not you should get a procedure, but I would personally choose your mental and physical health over anything. It's unfortunate, but sometimes love isn't enough. That's exactly how I feel. If I stay with him, it's hell. If I separate and keep the baby, he will have 50% custody, and then I will live in fear. I'm not sure where you live, but if you document the physical attack, you may be able to get a restraining order so she can't be around when he has the baby, or a limit to supervised visits. But it is still very early in the pregnancy. I would have a long discussion with your husband. Tell him it's gotten so bad you are considering a procedure. I hope you live in a country where you don't need his permission for that. The only solid solution for reconciliation I see is if he completely gives up custody of her. It won't help the hell beast's mental health, but it's the only way I can see you living a peaceful life with this man. He can't. Her mother and her new husband would probably throw her out. I couldn't bear it. Am I the a-hole for telling my boyfriend I wasn't donating part of my liver to him? My boyfriend, 31 male, in the past had a binge drinking problem before we met. By the time we met, he had been sober for years, but he had cirrhosis on his liver that doesn't look to be getting better and had some really bad lab results. He also had an embolism in his lungs, so had reduced his lung function and diabetes. I went to a liver specialist who mentioned that my boyfriend might need a liver transplant in the future, and he came back pretty bummed about that, understandably. He then, not seriously, but kind of hopefully let me know that I should donate part of my liver to him if we matched. I told him no, and I was kind of shocked he would ask. We've been dating 8 months, and while I like him, I'm not convinced he is the one yet. He has a lot of qualities I like, but some that drive me up the wall, including having poor personal hygiene and not looking after his diet and eating mostly fast food, which probably caused the diabetes. He was surprised, and then tried to cover it up, saying he didn't expect it and was just joking. I felt like he was serious, but didn't want to seem that way, and told him I would only think about doing something so personal for a parent, sibling, or spouse, and only if we were in good terms. Then he joked that he could just ask me to marry him to get my liver, and I told him now that he's mentioned it, it would make any marriage proposal seem disingenuous, so I wouldn't get matched to see if I was a candidate beforehand. He got serious and told me the liver isn't a big transplant and I would still be able to keep part of my liver. I told him it doesn't matter that the liver regenerates. I wouldn't even think about doing it for just a boyfriend. He got offended and said he would do it for me if the situation was reversed. But I said the problem is the situation isn't reversed, so I'm not convinced he would just because he's spouting platitudes. He got really angry and stormed out and hasn't been back in hours. Am I the a-hole for being overly honest with him that I wouldn't donate any liver for him? Now for the top comments. This is a bad sign, and more than just this one level. A big part of recovery is taking responsibility for your past. He doesn't appear to be doing that if he's expecting your help, even if he framed it as a joke. 8 months is way too short of a time for him to have the impression you'd be willing to donate one of your organs, particularly when the need for it stems from his past addiction struggles. I think your instincts might be correct. He's not the one. You and your liver should run, not stay whole. If Opie wanted, she could get tested and let the doctor know she doesn't want to donate if a match, and the doctor will just say not a match. But honestly, just throw away the whole man who wants to make "I was just joking," but treats you as if it were serious jokes. It ties into what the above comment was saying, that recovery means taking responsibility for your past. Jokes like that show the kind of person who wants to do whatever but face zero consequences. Not stay whole. Not stay home. No one, and I can't believe I have to say this, is entitled to your liver. Dear Lord, it's your literal organ and you can do whatever you want with it. We've seen gold diggers and now we see a liver digger. Not stay home. It seems like from your message you already know deep down that he's not the one. Even if he was the one, I wouldn't do it for a boyfriend. I might do it for a spouse because at that point we are married, but that's just me. Opie, you're absolutely right. He has also ruined any future proposal with his comments too, as it will also come across as disingenuous and conniving. He definitely wasn't joking considering he kept pushing the subject after you said no. You're so unbelievably not the a-hole. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for deeply insulting my mom's boyfriend's son at a family event because I thought something he said was a little misogynistic? We had a little garden party a few days ago at my mom's long-term partner's, John, weekend house. His older son, Charles, was also there. Charles is 32, lives with his mother, unemployed, and maybe worked a total of 1 year in his entire life if we add up the bits. He doesn't have any mental or physical disabilities, and he has a degree in computer science. He is just lazy and always brings up excuses for why he doesn't have a job. Charles spends his days playing video games, taking care of his 2 dogs, his newest excuse to why he can't work. And he keeps his mom's apartment clean, does their laundry, and he thinks that's enough contribution. His younger brother also lives with them because if he moved out, he would have to stop financially contributing. And their mom couldn't afford to feed / clothes / etc. Charles and herself anymore. I think it's fair to say that Charles is a leech. At one point in the conversations, Charles was asked if he is dating anyone / goes on dates. He replied, "Nah, I'm not interested. Those S-words are not good for anything. They only want my money. I'm not going to let myself be used by anyone." Well, I really didn't like how he referred to women as S-words, and I found it ridiculous that he was afraid of women wanting his money, as he doesn't have any and mooches off of his mother and brother. So I laughed at his face and asked him, "What money?" That he is just a useless, broke loser who is using his poor mother, leeching off of her, and he provides no value to the world. He is a burden on everyone around him. He just said that he contributes more than enough, that I don't know what the hell I'm talking about, and that his mother owes him a lot than left. I'm not going to say that I feel bad about Charles, because I don't. But John looked so sad and devastated, and I kind of ruined the party. John is a great guy, and I feel bad for him. I know he blames himself for Charles. Am I the a-hole for insulting John's son in front of John? Do I owe John an apology? Not stay home. John is sad because he knows what you said is true. Charles is what makes him upset, not you. But if you want to talk to him about it, I think that would be okay. Maybe start by apologizing for allowing yourself to get drawn into an argument at a party, because that is a legitimate thing to apologize for. Opie could have stopped at, "What money?" It was John's party and Opie should apologize. Being right also means handling it effectively, not just spewing words. There's also a bunch of other better words to use for women than S words, so it looks like everyone made choices that day. If Charles had used the N-word or said something about gay people, not a single person here would find that Opie out of place. But misogyny is so ingrained, it doesn't have the same impact. He deserves to be called out, shamed, and ridiculed. If Opie had addressed the misogyny, that would be different. She didn't. None of what she said addressed how he spoke of women. It was all personal insults. Nothing she said is going to make him rethink anything. She said his life provides no value, but her tirade provided no value to the cause she claimed to be fighting for. I really feel like this is objectively and everyone sucks here, but I'm going with my gut and giving you an not the a-hole. You are 100% correct for calling out the disgusting comments and spoke the truth to put the child in his place, but you probably violated time, place, and manner in how you went about it. He certainly has it coming, and could probably benefit from being called out on his situation. Apologize to John, but explain why he blew up. You owe Charles nothing. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not letting my dad's girlfriend force me to keep kosher? Alright, so my 16 female dad has been dating this new woman, Natalie, for around 3 years now. She's fine or whatever. I don't really talk to her much, but she's always been nice to me, except for being extremely weird about her kitchen. For reference, Natalie is Jewish and me and my dad are not. Natalie keeps kosher very strictly, which for people who don't know, meaning she won't even eat off plates that have touched non-kosher food, eat at non-kosher restaurants, or even in our houses is not kosher. There's a lot of other rules, but it would take me forever to list them all. All you have to know is she's strict about her food. And even though she's never tried to force this on me or my dad, and we don't care that she doesn't eat out / in our house, I'm getting annoyed at how anal retentive she is about her apartment. If you visit her, she asks that you not bring non-kosher food and let her cook for you. She's a great cook and always makes sure we have something to eat. But sometimes I want to eat bacon or shrimp or something, and I think it's weird to tell your underage guests they can't do that in your house even if they don't use your utensils? On to the conflict. Basically, I bought a cheeseburger with a side of popcorn shrimp on my way to our apartment, since my dad and I are staying the night. I didn't feel like eating it in the car or at the restaurant because it's weird to eat by yourself, so I brought it inside. I used one of Natalie's plates to set the food on, cause I guess I didn't just want to eat out of the bag. I don't know. But anyway, she saw me and my dad started freaking out on me about how could I disrespect her like this. Natalie went into her room. But like at the end of the day, I feel like she's over twice my age and getting mad at a child for being hungry. Plus, I was going to wash the plate she literally never would have known. So I feel like she's just being weird and strict to feel different. Am I the a-hole? Now for the comments. Look, dude, I get it. I've been an atheist just about all my life. And for the most of that time, I thought religion was pretty silly. I still don't have faith. But I've come to learn that if folks need structure to their spirituality, who am I to criticize as long as it's not harming anyone? More to the point, these kosher rules, which may seem like nonsense to you and me, are clearly very deeply important to Natalie. It was communicated to you how important they are to her and how seriously she takes them. And you absolutely, 100% disrespected Natalie's deeply held beliefs in her own home. If she was coming over to your house and forcing you to be kosher or whatever, I'd be on your side 100%. But in this case, you're the a-hole. Yeah, basically came to say the same. She has not pushed her beliefs on you. She's being respectful to you and your dad when she's at your place, so return that favor. You're fully aware of how she is and how strongly she practices her beliefs, and you just didn't give a damn. You're the a-hole. Me too. Her home, her rules. Abstaining from pork and shellfish during those periods doesn't harm you. You're the a-hole, and because this can't be emphasized enough, her home, her rules. You're the a-hole. First of all, stop pretending you were just a hungry child. A cheeseburger with a side of popcorn shrimp? You literally ordered the two least kosher things you could think of in a combination that almost no one orders. It is her house. You don't live there, and there are so many options available to you to eat and still respect her religion. Or you could have eaten at a car but you didn't feel like it. You're being a brat and you know it. You're acting like this is some strange set of rules she's made up out of nothing just to mess with you. Which, even if it were so, she should be respected in her home. But it's a fairly well-known set of rules practiced by major faith. Take time to reflect on why you are so bothered about how this woman runs her home in which you do not live. Apologize and buy her a new plate. Also, didn't feel like eating out of the container, so she had to use a plate. Containers would still be rude to do in a kosher home without explicit permission anyways, but at least it's not unkoshering someone's dishes. I know Jews who keep a kosher kitchen but are cool with non-kosher food and paper plates, or in areas outside their main kitchen, like using a kitchenette in an entertainment space or eating in the living room, etc. This just sounds like a deliberate slap in the face to Natalie and her beliefs. Also, the statement that they intended to wash up and put the unkoshered plate back without Natalie knowing? I do not know where to start with the lack of ethics that implies. Like, I am not Jewish, and I cannot imagine doing this to my worst enemy. Last story is titled, Am I the a-hole for no longer giving an employee discount to someone who quit working for me? I know the title sounds ridiculous. If you don't work somewhere, you are not an employee, and as such, you do not qualify for an employee discount there. But hear me out, it's more complicated than that, and I just might be the a-hole here. I own a company that has several diverse revenue streams. We own a real estate, we own restaurants, we own a vape shop, and we own several convenience stores/gas stations. I offer every employee of my company 20% reduced rent if they choose to rent one of my properties. So if you're a vape shop employee and your rent is supposed to be $1,000, it's $800. One of my employees, Valerie, recently decided that she needed to focus on school and she would no longer be able to keep her part-time job at my store. Her rent is supposed to be $600, but with a 20% less, she's been paying $480 a month for the past 2 years. After she quit, she paid us the normal $480 that she had been paying as an employee. I had my property manager send her a letter letting her know that she was short $120 and that she had a 30-day grace period to make up the difference before I would add late fees. Her mom sent me an angry email saying that it's not fair for me to punish her daughter for having poor mental health and being unable to hold down a job while going to school. On the one hand, I feel like I'm not the a-hole because I'm sticking to the contract we signed. On the other hand, I kind of feel like I am the a-hole because that $120 per month isn't gonna make or break me. But on the other hand, if I give her the discount even though she's not my employee, I would feel morally obligated to reduce all of my rents by 20%. And as such, I would no longer be making a profit at all by renting these places out. Please note, if your answer is you're the a-hole because all landlords are bad, I am going to completely ignore your comment. Might as well not waste your time. Nothing is as black and white as you are pretending life is. Not the a-hole. Landlords aren't obligated to have mental health clauses in their rental agreements. Valerie signed a rental agreement and is responsible for knowing the terms of the agreement. Having her mother email you is ridiculous. Kind of feel better about my decision with the first 3 comments all being unanimous. I guess the guilt trip her mom laid on me was working a bit too well. Just the fact her mom had not her mailed you is reason enough in my opinion. Not the a-hole. You're not punishing her as her mother claims. When she was working for you, she was essentially earning credit towards her rent. Now that she is not working for you, she no longer earns that credit. Also, what business does her mother have in this? Is mom want to lease? You and Valerie signed a contract. Unless mom has taken over her finances or something, she has nothing to do with this. Nah, she's not even in the same state we are. I think she complained to her mom and her mom went full mama bear. Your rental discount for employees are really quite generous, and so long as the contract is clear about the terms, then not the a-hole. As you said, once you start doing favors, then everyone will take advantage. I think you're legally in the clear, but maybe draft a letter for employees in the future. When they quit, reminding them the rent will change as of specific date. Not the a-hole. You give a discount as a thank you for good service and for working for you.
She does not work for you, so you have no obligation to give her the discount. A bit of notice would have been nice, as she probably didn't think about it. But yeah, don't give her 20% off because then other employees would feel hard done by. I agree. It would have been nice if she had given notice that she was quitting. Then we could have possibly worked something out. Lol, your reply made me giggle. I have a small company with 6 employees, and quitting on the spot really screws me over. Had one quit the day before I left on vacation and almost ruined it.
Am I the a-hole for refusing to change my son's name for being the same as X's late child? It might have been mine. I'll try to break it down. I, 28 male, was with my ex-girlfriend for 2 years. We broke up in 2016 when I found out she's been seeing other guys behind my back. Around that time, she found out she was pregnant. But obviously there was doubts if I'm the father. I refused to be involved unless I knew for sure the baby was mine, but we never got confirmation. It was a stillbirth, unfortunately. I never got to know who the poor boy's father was. The thing is, she named the baby after me. That was something I wasn't comfortable with, since we still didn't know if he was mine or not. But I tried to understand she was grieving a baby, and myself too, sort of, in a way. Haven't spoken to her in years. I'm with my fiancé now, and we're about to have our first boy in a couple months. She wants our son to be junior, and that's what we've said to some friends. No one has a problem with it. Except my ex, because she found out through some friends that I still talk to. She's pissed that I would even think about naming my child this when that's our son's name. First off, I told her we never got that confirmation, so stop saying he was my son. Also, this is the name we decided to give our child and not going to change it. My family, well, really just my brothers, think I'm being way too insensitive about this with her. Because she lost a child, it is likely not easy seeing me start a family with someone else, while also giving them the name of her dead baby. It's not like we're in each other's lives, so really how would that impact hers at all? Unless she just stalks me and my family. Well, now it's like we're being a-holes for not wanting to change our son's name for my ex, and she's telling everyone who will listen about this. Wanna be clear here, am I being an a-hole? Now for the top comments. Context. Not the a-hole. If this ex isn't actively involved in your life, I see no issues. If she is, you are reminding her every day of her loss. It depends on your relationship with the ex. Like I said, we're not in each other's lives. So she cheated, got pregnant and didn't know whose it was, didn't respect that you said you wanted to find out if the kid was actually yours, and she named it after you anyway without your consent? I'm sorry, where do you think in this situation at all you are the a-hole? Named a stillborn child as well, in which case it doesn't even make it onto any official paperwork. Not shaming those who do, I understand it can be a form of closure. But she didn't have any chance to get to know the baby with that name. It almost sounded like she told Opie she had named the baby after him way after the fact. Name your child Junior, and block your ex. Tell the mutual friends to shut their traps or end the friendship. Not the a-hole. This is the most insane not the a-hole baby name situation I've seen posted. Not the a-hole. I am sorry she had a stillbirth. It must have been very traumatic. She named the baby after you without your input or any verification regarding the baby's paternity. You've moved on with your lives. Why your mutual friends need to keep her updated on your life is beyond me. Either they just do or answer her questions. Your relationship with her is over. It was over before the stillbirth of her child. While she may consider naming your firstborn after you selfish or insensitive, I don't think it should stop you. Apart from a few mutual friends, you live completely separate lives and have no contact with each other. You and your partner have picked out your baby's name. It's no one else's business but the two of you. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for not giving my son the money I saved for his college fund? My son is 18 and is graduating high school. I started saving fund for him the day he was born. I always put a little bit in every week, as I do for my other kids as well. Over the years, I saved enough for him to go to college debt-free. He's always been a bright and hard worker. He ended up getting a full ride to his dream school.
We are insanely proud of him. All was going well and he was happy and ready to accept. Until I mentioned that I will be able to use the money I saved for him on fixing up our home and putting the rest towards his siblings' funds. He got very upset at that and began to demand the money. I was caught off guard. I never expected him to react this way. Over the past week, he has been throwing tantrums, threatening to withdraw from his dream school and attend somewhere else. Last night, he came home and immediately started yelling at his little sister. He grabbed the plate of food she was eating and threw it across the kitchen. She ran to me crying. He came into the room, and when he saw me holding her, he said, "Yeah, hold your favorite child and ignore me, you witch." He left soon after, and I haven't heard from him since. He ignores my calls and texts. My husband is furious and says that my son needs to move out immediately. I asked a couple of family members, and they said that I am in default because I promised him the money and now I'm keeping it. I just don't know what to do. I'm scared that he will reject his full ride and attend a different school and go into debt and then demand the money. I've also never seen him so angry or call me a witch. I'm crying right now because my husband is pissed at me and him, and I have no idea where my son is or what he's doing. Am I the a-hole for not giving him the money? Should I just give it to him? You're the a-hole. You saved the money for your son. Your son worked his butt off and got in on a full ride, but he actually lost his college fund. So his high achievements changed nothing about his own situation, and you're the one that benefits from them. If you're proud of him, you don't take money away from him when he succeeds. I'm sure he feels like he got punished for being bright and getting a scholarship. That's essentially the message you've sent. You're the one that gets paid when he does well. Edit. I just want to be clear here that I don't think giving him the money right now is the way to go. But it is so rare to have your parents save that kind of money for you these days. I can only look back at my life at 18, 20, 22 and think how much of a difference that kind of money could have made in getting started. He may want to take an internship and need some cash to support himself, or he may want to go to graduate school, or he may want to buy a house. I think those are worthwhile uses of that money if it was truly intended for your son. I wish this was higher up. On top of that, what if he decides to go to grad school? What about housing, food, textbooks, etc.? All of that costs money, and not all, even full ride, scholarships cover housing too. Most of them just cover classes and stuff. But even if housing is included, textbooks are expensive as hell. And once again, grad school is also a thing. Everyone sucks here. You make a promise to a child, so the child works hard on the understanding that you'll fulfill the promise. In doing so, they get a full ride to college. Great. But instead of saying you'll use some of the money to help him get through college for the things not covered by the scholarship, like his phone and car insurance, etc., and keep the rest of it for if he wants to go to grad school or if he changes his mind on his course, you take away the college fund safety net you've promised him for years. I don't know why you expect your hard-working child to feel grateful to you for punishing him for his hard work. Especially if you told him that he'd be debt-free after his college education. He's an a-hole for the violent reaction, but that overreaction makes me wonder what else you've been doing to make your son feel like he's playing second fiddle to his sister. That resentment does not come out of nowhere. A-hole. I can't believe I'm bothering to create a username and comment. Posts like yours make me so upset, even though I'm 30 years out of college. I would be upset if I was your son. He worked hard and you want to use the money that was meant for his future on your house and other siblings? It could absolutely go towards his grad school. It probably pushed your son a bit to work hard to make you proud. Your comment, even though this may not be what you meant, is pushing him out the door and saying that he is on his own. That is how I would feel. He's young and at a pivotal, emotional time in his life. You kind of suck. And by the way, I'd ignore the throwing around of the word entitled in other posts. A bit overused. Do these people even have kids? If you are truly proud of your kid and not a jerk, don't gaslight him after years of promising that money was put aside for him. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for kicking my pregnant sister-in-law out of my car for throwing my coffee out the window? I, male 29, am not a morning person. Like at all. That's why I work night shifts and sleep in the morning. Days ago, I got back from my shift and slept for an hour, then my fiancé woke me up asking me to drive her pregnant sister to the doctor's appointment at 10 a.m. I was tired and was supposed to be sleeping, but decided to do it. I drove over to sister-in-law's place and she sat in the passenger seat and started complaining about bad smell in my car. She said a pine tree air freshener in the rear view mirror had to go, so I removed it. She then said the pack of smokes was bothering her, but I wasn't smoking. I smiled and put the closed cigarette pack inside a glove compartment. A few seconds later, we were stopping at a traffic light when sister-in-law started itching her nose. I looked at her and asked what's wrong. She pointed at my coffee, looked disgusted, and said the smell was making her nauseous and told me to throw it out. I refused because coffee is my fuel. I get horrific headache if I don't drink it. Also, I paid for it, so there was no way for me to throw it away. She suggested that I drink it all at once then, but it was too hot. I had to take little sips, like, normal people do. Otherwise, my whole mouth would be damaged. I covered the top as a solution for her, but she got mad and said I was ignorant to dismiss a pregnant woman suffering like that. I started moving, and a minute later I saw her grabbing my coffee and throwing it out the window. I shouted, "What the hell?" And she told me that I never listen. I lost it, y'all. I just pulled over and told her I've had enough of her crap and kicked her out. She got into a screaming match with me, calling me names and whatnot. She wanted to get back in, but I locked the door and drove away, leaving her shouting. I got back to my place and my fiancé was at the door looking pissed as hell. She said she and her mom were livid that I kicked my sister-in-law out over coffee and making her miss her appointment. She reminded me I was being a jerk to her. I cleared the air on what went down, and I was still wrong for what I did. Am I the a-hole? Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. I've been pregnant 7 times. You know what you do in this situation? I'm so sorry, but the smell of the coffee is making me sick, and I'm working so hard not to barf in your car. But it's touch and go. Is there any chance we can ditch the coffee and I'll give you $5 to get a new one after you drop me? Throwing someone's coffee out the window is appalling behavior, even when you're pregnant. There's no excuse for it at all. Also, if the coffee is still too hot to drink and full, it's incredibly dangerous to throw out the window. What if it hits someone or another car or a bird? This is completely unreasonable behavior. Not day haul. First of all, I'm not sure why your fiancé thought it was okay to wake you up after 1 hour of sleep. Lack of sleep causes accidents. Her sister probably knew about the appointment for a while. Should have found another solution. The sister-in-law being pregnant does mean you can be a peach for people who are doing you a favor. She threw the coffee out, you threw her out. Makes sense to me. She wouldn't have missed her appointment if she planned better or just behaved like an actual human. It happens a lot with her family. They constantly ask for me to drive them places. Why can't your fiancé take her sister to the appointment when you are sleep deprived? I can only sympathize about the air freshener as they are made with toxic chemicals that can cause headache, allergies for many, etc. The sister-in-law is an obvious a-hole for throwing out the coffee, but your fiancé's even bigger a-hole for feeling so entitled that you drive her sister to the appointment when you are sleep deprived. And why can't your fiancé take her or sister's boyfriend/husband, etc.? It's not even your job. My fiancé doesn't drive for medical reasons. Then your fiancé should not go around volunteering you for this. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for backing out of agreement to babysit for a single mom after she lied about her severely disabled, wheelchair user, 11-year-old son? I, female 19, started working as a babysitter recently, as I do during this time of year every year. I received a call from a single mother wanting me to babysit her kids while she goes to work from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. I met up with her. I always first meet up with parents and see where they live and how many kids they have, etc, etc, etc. But I found what she told me a bit strange. She said she has been desperately looking for a babysitter who is willing to babysit her kids, but couldn't find one. I mean, the area is full of babysitters available. Her house was close enough and the money is good, so I was kind of confused by her statement. She introduced me to her 2 kids, 7 and 4. They were super nice and polite. We talked about schedules/routine/their regular rules, and we agreed on almost everything. First day of job, I arrived at her place at 7:30, and I was puzzled when I saw a kid in a wheelchair. I asked who he was, and she said that this was her severely disabled 11-year-old son. I asked if she was expecting me to look after him too, and she said he was part of the deal, but he wasn't. I didn't know about him and did not think I was going to have to care for a disabled child. She told me I was overreacting and gave me a list of duties, such as changing him and feeding him at certain times. But I freaked out and I told her no. I'm not capable of caring for a disabled third kid in the house. We did not agree on that. I'm just a babysitter, not a carer, which what he needs. She said she wouldn't be worried as long as I'm an adult. Besides that, it's like caring for an infant, and asked me if I had never changed a diaper before. But this is different. This is completely different. I blatantly said that this doesn't work for me and decided to not babysit for her. She got upset with me, saying I can't back out of an agreement now after I let her on, and she thought she chose an adult for this job, but I was being unreliable. But she initially lied and hid her third son who's disabled and needs special care, and then expected me to go with the flow? She said that I should at least try for a week till she's got a willing babysitter, because she can't leave her new job and stay home with the kids. She begged me to stay, even offered more money, but I decided to leave. I got home and my parents asked me why I left my new job. I told them what happened, and my mom looked dumbfounded, saying I put that lady in a rough place by basically bailing on her when she was counting on me. What? Lol, no. Why would she think that? She went on about her being a struggling single mom trying to make things work, but I was acting cowardly and selfish and short-sighted. I asked Mom, "Are you serious?" And she responded by asking me to put myself in her shoes. But she wanted me to care for a severely disabled child, and I honestly got scared. This is a huge responsibility legally. Morally, it was a jerk move for just quitting without giving her a chance to find a replacement, and she kept calling for hours. Am I the a-hole? Definitely not the a-hole, and she knew exactly what she was doing. Care like that is a lot and costs a lot more, and she was lying to rope you into doing something you neither wanted to do nor are qualified to do. That's like hiring someone to load lorries, and when they get there, telling them they'll have to drive them as well. But I don't have a license for one. Oh well, you're gonna have to now. No, that's not how it works. Yes, she can't find a babysitter because she keeps lying to them. Exactly. My mom looked dumbfounded, saying I put that lady in a rough place by basically bailing on her when she was counting on me. That lady put herself in a rough place by lying to her potential employee about what the job entailed, and counting on guilt to prevent Opie from bailing on her when the truth came out. Fix that for your mom. Well, if it isn't the direct consequences of my actions. You are neither a jerk nor an a-hole. Not an a-hole. She bait and switched you. She's in a tough spot and all that, but her attempts to manipulate and bully you into caring for a disabled son despite your assertion you couldn't does make her one. Your mom is sympathetic, but to the wrong person. If she cares so much, she should babysit for the lady. Not a a-hole at all. You said yourself you're not a carer. What if something bad had happened? The kid's mom should have warned you beforehand. She changed the deal at the last minute. You're under no obligation to continue with the deal when they've changed the terms last minute. You did the right thing for you and for the kid. Your mom is just talking crap.